Warning, this video may lead to increased levels of salt.
YugiNoNo!
King prepare!
Alright, so I have a ton of deck profile requests. And I just figured that I would do the most cancerous one first. But you guys are probably gonna hate me because I really love playing this deck. So let's start this off with 2 driver, also known as Lose to Prohibition and Side Blocker. You traitor son of a bitch. And then you play 3 multi-threader. Multi-threader is actually really important in the deck because it sets up combos with Soul Charge, Telekinetic Power Well, and of course it protects your monsters so that they'll get banished for Psychic Field Zone. And then you play 3 Beta, and then you play 3 Gamma. Gamma is probably the best Psy-Frame because it is literally a hand-trapped Divine Wrath. And then you play 3 Psy-Frame Delta, also known as Your Hero Lives Eats Shit. And then you play 3 copies of Psy-Frame Alpha, which is the search card. After that, you play the cards that you want to open with. 3 Card D, which is the +1, and 1 Curry Bandit. Curry Bandit is actually really strong in the deck because it gets your multi-threaders in the grave, it gets your drivers in the grave, and it gets your tuners in the grave and searches out Power Well. Plus, if you mill Overload, you can banish Overload from your graveyard and get a search. And then you play 3 Psy-Frame Circuit, duh. And then you play 3 Pot of Duality, also known as Let Your Opponent Know What You're Playing card. And then you play 3 Psychic Field Zones. And then you play 1 copy of what used to be the most broken card in the game. And then you play Power Well, and then you play 1 Psychic Path. And to the traps, you play 3 copies of Drowning Mirror Force, by far the most broken of all the Mirror Forces. And then you play 3 copies of I Get to Banish All Your Shit. And for the last trap, you play Skill Drain, because all your Psy-Frame gears activate in the hand and don't care about Skill Drain. And Card D tributes itself, so it doesn't give a shit about Skill Drain, and neither does Curry Bandit. So as if this deck wasn't cancer enough, it has total synergy with Skill Drain.
No, God!
And for the extra deck, you play 3 Zeta, and then you play 2 copies of the most annoying card in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Please tell me why you always leave.
And then 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, which you don't ever really make, but you still have to play it. And then you play 1 Scarlight, 1 Crimson Blader, 1 Stardust Spark Dragon, 1 Life Trancer, 1 I Blow Up All Your Shit Dragon, 1 Clearwing, and 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon is probably the most combo-licious card in the extra deck, because it allows you to easily go into Crystal Wing, which we all know is completely broken. And for the last card in the extra deck, you play 1 Overmind Archfiend. And to the side deck, you play 2 copies of Church, Epsilon, 2 Maxi, 3 Ghost Reaper and Lollybait, 1 Tree Toad, 1 Dragon Buster, 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance, and 3 MST. But anyways, now that you got your deck list and you're not watching anymore, I'm really surprised that more people haven't discovered Telekinetic Power Well, because it acts like a second Soul Charge in the deck. The only downside to the card is that it only really works if you have a driver or a threader in hand. But the upside is if you do have a driver or a threader in hand, you can easily go into Crystal Wing, depending on what tuners you get from the graveyard. Now dick slap that like button and subscribe! Subscribe!